Hey everyone, welcome. So what we are diving into today is one of the most exciting, and honestly, one of the most important, transformations happening in the world of libraries right now. This presentation is called the Intelligent Knowledge Ecosystem, and the subtitle says it all: how libraries are transitioning from information storage centers to proactive, privacy-first hubs of AI literacy. Now think about that for a second. Libraries have always been the guardians of knowledge. But in 2026 and beyond, that role isn't going away, it's actually expanding in a big way. We are not just storing books anymore. We are becoming the trusted spaces where communities learn how to navigate AI, evaluate information intelligently, and protect their own privacy. This is a strategic explainer, and by the end, you'll have a really clear picture of where we are headed, and what libraries need to do right now to lead the way. Let's get into it. So here's the thing, libraries didn't get to where they are overnight, and understanding the journey is really important. In the past, we were essentially information storage centers, manual cataloging, reactive feedback, static search strings, and traditional privacy laws. It was all about holding information and waiting for someone to come ask for it. Now, in the present, we've moved into what this slide calls the AI-assisted hub phase. Think custom LLM workflows, sentiment analytics, teaching source verification, and identifying predatory publishing. We are actively using AI to make our services smarter. But here's the really exciting part. The future is the intelligent knowledge ecosystem, autonomous agents, localized privacy-first models, predictive services, and democratic safeguards for AI literacy. And the key insight you need to take away from this slide? The AI race is no longer about chatbots. It's about autonomous workflow automation and enterprise integration. That's the next frontier, and libraries need to be ready for it. Let's talk about one of the most important concepts in this whole presentation, the human-in-the-loop model. And I love how this slide frames it so cleanly. AI handles the scale, librarians provide the judgment. On the AI side, you've got things like massive unstructured data, repetitive metadata entry, initial pattern detection, and baseline classification. These are tasks where volume and speed matter, and honestly, no human team can match what AI can do at scale there. But on the librarian side, that's where contextual empathy, intellectual oversight, ethical governance, and pedagogical guidance live. These are deeply human skills that no algorithm can replicate. The middle of this diagram, that circle that says, human in the loop, that's the sweet spot. That's where you get the best of both worlds. And the quote at the bottom really nails it: AI should support critical thinking, not replace it. Keep that in mind as we go through the rest of this. Let's look at how this plays out in practice. Okay, so here's where we get really practical. One of the biggest pain points for any library, especially at scale, is cataloging. It's repetitive, it's technical, and it takes a lot of time. But look at this 4-step workflow. Step 1. Input. You just scan a mobile image or enter an ISBN. Super simple. Step 2. The AI metadata engine kicks in. We are talking custom GPT processing, using models like .mark for Koha, Click and Catalog Books, and Mark for Koha. The system auto-assigns DDC numbers, cutter numbers, and subject headings automatically. Step 3. Output. You get Koha-ready Mark 21 files, with support for RDA and Sears subject headings. And Step 4. Validation. A professional librarian reviews and approves before the secure Koha import. That last step is critical. The human stays in the loop. The bottom line here is powerful. This reduces repetitive technical work while preserving strict professional cataloging standards. That's efficiency without sacrificing quality, and that's exactly what we are aiming for. So here's a challenge that's growing fast and quietly, and it's a serious one. Thousands of new journals are entering academic publishing every single year, and they're mixing legitimate research with increasingly sophisticated predatory practices. It's a scale problem, and it's getting harder and harder for researchers to tell the difference. This is where AI steps in as a powerful filter. Think of this diagram as a funnel. You've got that noisy cloud of thousands of journals at the top. Then in the middle, you have the automated AI analysis layer, systems like Cabell's predatory reports that analyze editorial practices, indexing claims, and publisher behavior at scale. What comes out at the bottom is curated, safe knowledge. And here's where the librarian's role shifts beautifully. Instead of doing all that manual vetting, librarians can now focus on faculty publishing consultations, research integrity workshops, and graduate student training. That's a much higher value use of expertise, and it's where librarians make the biggest impact. Now let's talk about the Patron experience, because this is where AI is genuinely changing the game. On the left side of this slide you've got traditional feedback, manual survey analysis, subjective interpretation, messages getting lost in an avalanche of unstructured data, and the whole thing being entirely reactive. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's most libraries today. But on the right side, we have AI-driven UX. Natural language understanding platforms, tools like Medallia, Google Natural Language API, Hugging Face transformers, and Voyant tools. These systems can detect emotional tone and emerging trends across multiple channels simultaneously. So instead of waiting for a complaint to show up 6 months later in a survey, you are catching friction points in real time and responding proactively. The bottom of this slide says it perfectly. The result is a shift from reactive troubleshooting to proactive, user-centered service design. That's a fundamentally different relationship with your patrons, and a much better one. Up next, we look at how this connects to the bigger picture of responsible scholarship. This is one of my favorite slides in the deck because it captures a really elegant idea. At the center of this Venn diagram is responsible scholarship. And it's built from 3 overlapping circles. First, AI tools. These are your discovery and synthesis engines. Tools like Illicit let you search millions of papers using natural language, brainstorm research questions, and dramatically accelerate literature reviews. Second, the librarian, and notice how the role is shifting here. It's no longer just about teaching database mechanics. It's about teaching AI literacy, source verification, and bias detection. That's a significant upgrade. Third, the student, described here as a critical thinker. The student remains the active architect of their own learning, evaluating AI outputs for inaccuracies or fabricated citations, because yes, AI hallucinates, and that's a real skill students need. This whole framework aligns with the ACRL framework and UNESCO guidance on generative AI. It's not just a nice idea, it's grounded in international best practice. Now let's talk about something that sits under all of this: privacy. Here's a slide that I think every library administrator needs to sit with for a moment. Because when we rush to adopt cloud-based AI tools, there's a hidden cost that often goes unexamined. The Every Library report surfaced 3 critical findings. 1. Most privacy laws were written before generative AI even existed, which means there are real gaps in Patron confidentiality protections. 2. Cloud systems are quietly collecting prompts, search histories, and metadata. Every query a Patron types into a cloud AI tool, it may be retained and analyzed. 3. Even so-called anonymous usage data can be re-identified using modern tools. So what does this mean? If patrons believe their reading habits or AI interactions are being monitored, the foundational trust in libraries and intellectual freedom itself starts to decline. That's a really serious consequence. Libraries have always been sanctuaries of private inquiry. We cannot let AI erode that. And fortunately, there's a practical solution, which brings us to the next slide. So what's the answer to the privacy challenge? This slide lays it out in a really clean comparison. Cloud AI, think ChatGPT, Gemini, stores your data on external vendor servers, carries moderate privacy risk due to prompt retention and analysis, has no offline capability, and is best suited for general drafting and non-sensitive public queries. Now compare that to local AI, tools like Ollama, LM Studio, and Edge Gallery. Your data stays confined to the device or institutional server. The privacy level? Absolute, zero data leaves the environment. Full offline functionality. And it's best for sensitive research, unpublished work, and strictly confidential patron inquiries. That last column is highlighted in green for a reason. The message at the bottom says it all. Local LLMs enable the full power of AI without sending a single byte outside your own device. For libraries serious about patron confidentiality, this isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the responsible path forward. Let's look at how all of this fits into the broader AI evolution. Here's the big picture, and it's moving faster than most people realize. This timeline has 3 stages. In the recent past, AI was all about chatbots, conversational UI, benchmark scores, singleton prompts. That phase is essentially already behind us. Right now, we're in the workflow copilot era, AI embedded in cataloging, legal tech like Clio, and enterprise command line tools from Microsoft. AI is no longer just answering questions, it's working inside your workflows. But the emerging era, and this is where it gets really significant for libraries, is autonomous ecosystems. Systems that proactively prepare workflows, evaluate their own progress, and conduct independent research. Think Claude Code or Richard Soch's recursive superintelligence. Mobile agent management through tools like Codex. The insight in the box at the bottom is crucial. The AI industry is moving from AI that talks to AI that operates. Libraries must prepare for predictive services and autonomous metadata generation. This is the world we are heading into, and the final slide shows us the blueprint for navigating it. And here we are, the blueprint. Everything we've covered today comes together in this final slide, and I want you to really take this in. There are 3 pillars. Operational efficiency, using AI for cataloging at scale. Proactive UX, leveraging sentiment analytics to serve patrons better. And ironclad privacy, deploying local LLMs to protect patron confidentiality. At the center of all 3? The paramount democratic safeguard. Because that's what libraries ultimately are, democratic institutions. And it's worth noting that the Digital Public Library of America, backed by a $1.1 million Humanity AI grant, is actively turning libraries into trusted public spaces for AI literacy, ethical guardrails, and open-source infrastructure. This is real. It's happening now. The closing thought on this slide is one I'd love you to carry with you. Technology works best when trusted public institutions help communities understand it thoughtfully and use it responsibly. AI literacy is the new digital literacy. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And join us in the AI4Lib community. The link is in the description. See you in the next one.